people, communities of color, workers, migrants, grandfathers, grandmothers, mamas, daddies, elders, babies, young folks, indigenous ancestors, aboriginal people who have spent love and tears and sweat, praying, caring, working for this barrio, for this street, for this community.
Displaced by the forces of money, power, real estate, speculation, corporate theft, corporate pimping, philanthropism, free demo outlets, criminalization and gentrification, and now only exist as an artifact,
a reference, a brushstroke, a photo, an exhibit, a dream to be studied, theorized, painted over, documented, and or forgotten and erased completely as though we were never there.
Gentrification tours are us. Exist to document that theft, reclaim and take back those stolen spaces, images, pictures, lives and dreams?
To tour and document the folk colonizers and 21st century missionaries. To the erased and colonized culture and cultural stealers. To reinsert ourselves in a stolen landmark and to reclaim what little of us might still be left.
Gentrification tours are us. Coming soon to a displaced gentrified Department of Anthropology near you.
You know, we're sitting here at UC Berkeley, #1 research institution in the world. Researching one of the things that they decided that they were going to research when they created their archaeology department was to research my ancestors in a way that was disruptive and disrespectful and continues to be that way. My ancestors lived along the bay for thousands and thousands of years in places called shell mounds, which were our cemeteries. Our shell mounds grew to be 20, 30 feet high over thousands and thousands of years of burying ancestors in soil and stone and shell over and over and over again. These archaeologists, they began to take down our shell mounds. We're stored on racks, a room full of them, rack after rack after rack. Our tribes that have been here for thousands and thousands of years, our shell mounds that are older than the pyramids of Egypt, our places of worship, our places of our beginnings, held in this institution as they hoard away our ancestors for what? Myself, many Native people from all across the country have been asking UC Berkeley to return our ancestral remains. How disrespectful it is for anyone to take someone out of their final resting place.
This is not a performance. I see a lot of looking at and applause, which is essentially the problem that we're talking about. We have been on display. We have been made entertainment through movies, through books, through media. And this has to stop.
I am the descendant of immigrants farm workers, cleaning ladies, seamstresses, slaughterhouse workers, writers, gardeners. This is a seed of a pine, a cold grain of rice, seeking pearls of wisdom. We are all connected. William Randolph Hearst benefited highly in the dissemination of hate against all people of color. During his heyday, when he vehemently spread hatefulness toward immigrants from south of the border in white supremacist terms, and also Japanese people. He set the stage for incarcerating Japanese people with the newspapers he owned.
So today is May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, but it's also today we remember the missing and murdered indigenous women. But let's also remember that the remains of our ancestors are part of this tragedy. They are missing. Robbed from their graves, that the families placed them down to rest as they lovingly sang them to the next world. The remains of our ancestors also faced murder as settlers rode through our villages and massacred our people. We talk so much about mass shootings in this country because they're happening. This is the origins of mass shootings. When settlers came through our villages and massacred our people. As our bodies lay dead in our villages, we know that racist scientists and anthro-kidnappers stole our bodies. So we need justice and accountability for our missing and murdered loved ones held hostage by UC Berkeley. And then they flip the switch and say, well, we're honoring you. I'm like, no, you're not honoring us. If you were honoring us, then honor our goddamn treaties. You know? Give us our land back. Give us our bodies back. That would be honoring us.
The first people in those cases were people with disabilities. Called them freak shows. Our first president, George Washington, house lady, was a disabled black woman. And she was the first to be exhibited in D.C. Freak shows, they called it. People with disabilities in cages. People with disabilities in grades at university. I got on the CUNY in New York. It was a warehouse, an institution before it became a campus.
My name is Teacher Jason. I am a teacher and elder mentor to these youth, to these young men who you see performing their dancer ceremony. We come from a school called Decolonized Academy. Our campus in East Oakland is based on Ohlone Lachine land, which was unsold, reclaimed by the people for the people with the blessings of the Ohlone Lachine elders. Decolonized Academy was founded on the principles and traditions of the Black Panther Liberation Schools and Las Escuelas de los Zapatistas.
Eugenics is a pure race, science, or an evil white supremacist practice to improve the human race by selective breeding certain people. The goal is to remove disabilities, disease, and even some races from existence.
How are you gonna fly to Arkansas, Africa, and Bangladesh, but not so much as slice off a piece of your privilege and access? Come back with warm colonizer feelings, a grade A on your thesis and final tests. So we have a new kind of fellowship. It's a sistership, a mothership, a daughtership. It's called Poverty Scholarship. And can I get a witness for these youth scholars?
21 Walnut has 112 elders, disabled black, brown elders who are being kicked out by UC Berkeley, 4 dorms right now. This education was founded off of the ideals of eugenicists, racist, slave owners. They say that they are no longer associating with Bolt and Hearst and LeConte, but they're doing the same things that they've done. UC Berkeley is spending money on the police force instead of education.
The remains that are housed in this university are protected by UCPD.
That's right.
UCPD exists to protect capital and systems of accruing capital.
That's right.
And it also exists, college cops across the country exist because in the 1960s and 70s, during the Civil Rights Movement, during the Free Speech Movement, as people were speaking out against the Vietnam War, sharing their voices and being heard and making change, that's when colleges realized, shit man, maybe we need our own police force. And so now here we are, all these years later, dealing with the same old shit. Dealing with overfunded police departments, dealing with administrators who would rather criminalize community members than make any actual positive change.
I want to hold all that because right there, when me and Mom were sleeping in our car and bus benches, park benches all over Berkeley, Frisco, LA, and Oakland, it was the UC motherfucking PD that pulled us away on driving while poor violation, threw me up against the wall, towed our home, and put me in that little tiny bougie cage.
People's Park is being completely overrun by police officers right now.
This is ground zero, right here, to spread love throughout the world, and kindness, and compassion. Sometimes it always feels good to give rather than take.